Welcome back to another video. So in our previous video we have covered one-to-one mapping, whereas unidirectional, and we have already inserted our record in our database, and we have inserted the record in user, and the record in profile is also saved. But as you can see that we only have the linkage between user table via profile ID. So the profile ID has been mapped inside user table, which is on the one-to-one mapping unidirectional. In today's video, we are going to cover the bidirectional mapping. So as you can see, currently profile don't have any mapping related to user table. So once we set up that, we will see that profile will also have a mapping to user table. So it will create another column in here, which will have a linkage to user table. One of the benefits of profile having a column of user table is to achieve the bidirectional relationship. Means if you insert information into user table, it will insert into profile table, and then if you want to insert in profile, you can also insert in user. So the relationship is maintained, and this is a circular reference. So the serialization happen from user to profile and to profile to user. And also inverse is also possible. If you insert in profile, it will also insert in user, and if you get profile, it will also able provide you the user information as well. So we have inserted our record. So let us do the changes. Let us close all the remaining pages. What we need to do is we'll open our user entity, and then we will open our profile entity. So what we need to do is, so in profile table we don't need to do, oh sorry, in user table. So now we'll come to profile. We'll create our entry in here, private string. It's a user, not a string. Yeah, string is so common that every time it's a string. Okay, we'll do one-to-one mapping, and then we'll add our join column. So this is the reason we are doing this, to establish a relationship. The name will be user underscore ID. This is the same ID of our user table, and our reference column is ID. Means whatever column you have defined, this is the reference column of this ID. Okay, this has to be the same name. And now what are we going to do is we need to create the getter as a method. Perfect. So we have created our getter setter method to set profile info, to set user information. And now what we need to do is we need to okay, one-to-one join column. We are not covering cascading for now, because we'll cover cascading of lazy fetching or eager fetching. That will come later, because that's a very nice topic, and there are a lot of edge cases. Okay, and now what else we need to do is we also need to establish a relationship between user and profile, synchronize, because when are we going to set the record? Okay, that we'll do later. That's it. Adding the relationship in our profile entity tells the Spring that these two in a bidirectional relationship. Okay, so now how we are going to test it? Let us run our application and see what happens. We need to come to our, you make sure you have not, if you haven't watched it, you can rewatch it. You see we don't have this column in here. Okay, application is getting started. Okay, application is started. Now let us rerun this query and see, make sure you can rewatch it. So you see the user ID column is created, the one which we have defined in our entity under profile. User ID is created. So now let us insert the record and see what will happen. Okay, so now so Bill and Mars are the neighbor in planet Mars. So now let us run it and see what will happen. Okay, record is inserted, whereas Why our ID is coming null? Let us debug this. Okay, profile ID, and okay, why our user ID is not linked to profile table? Why? Why did we face this issue? Okay, we need to fix this. Let us come back to our code and see that are we missing anything or not. Let us debug it. So we came to our controller, and when we are saving our record, save user, we are passing user and profile, and then our entity is called. Okay, and then we are saving our profile information. Okay, cascade all. We haven't even cascade over there. That's not an issue. We have profile, and our user ID is null. Okay, so profile. So when we come into profile, we have user. We are setting user. Okay, and then okay, we are setting user, but we are not mapping it. Yeah, in user table, we are not mapping profile information. So now let us profile dot set user of this. This maintain bidirectional relationship. Okay, let us read on our application and see whether this will work or not. Okay, application is started, and let us rerun it and see what will happen. Okay, now we have another issue. So now you can see that earlier our user ID was not coming, and now our user ID is coming. Now let us run this. Okay, perfect. So we have our user ID in here. Whatever ID is of our user. Our ID of user is 52 and ID of user chef profile is 3, which is properly mapped. Okay, ID is 3, and we can see the ID 3, and then we have ID map. Okay, but we have one more issue which is coming here, which is that it is being. So what is this actually? Let us see. Okay, so we can see that we have ID, username, email, profile, and then user ID is 3. Then we have our user profile information, whereas it is again. So as you can see that this is looping, means it is a circular reference. This is one of the common issue whenever people are working with this advanced Hibernate mapping, and this is very common in interview question, and they do it, and then people usually don't know how to solve it. But now we are live doing it, and we face this issue. So now there are a couple of ways to fix this issue. So to not to make this video long, comment down in the section, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. The easiest way to fix this issue is, what are we going to do is, we will come here, and then what are we going to do is, we are going to ignore that circular reference. How we can do that? We can simply use not to include user ID in our JSON or JSON to JAX, because internally they use Jackson for this serialization conversion. So we can use JSON ignore to ignore our variable. So adding this, so this is not the best solution, but this is one of the solution of this circular reference issue. And this is sort of lazy initialization exception usually used to come when you're working in real production type of application, big application. This is very small application, so you might not notice it, but this has a big impact when you can see whatever we have. As you can see, how much record is there? It is circular means it has 5,000 records. It can cause havoc in our production environment. So make sure you know all these minor details. So let us rerun our application and see what will happen. So let us add another. Meanwhile, let us update the record and see our server is started. Okay, server is started. Now let us insert this and see what will happen. So you have noticed this thing. So issue solved. So what went wrong? Perfect. ID is perfect. And then, well, okay. So why issue solved adding this JSON ignore? Because JSON is including, because JSON, not JSON, I would say, when this JSON is built, right? This is request and response, and object is converted into JSON, which is done by Jackson library internally. Okay, so what internally they are finding it, right, that this profile is referring to user, and when it comes to user, it comes to profile. Profile comes to user, user comes to profile. Profile comes to user, user comes to profile. Profile comes to user, user comes to profile. So adding this JSON ignore, once it has completed one cycle, it has breaking the loop. Adding this JSON ignore, so it will ignore, it will run first time, then second time it will ignore it. So then the circular reference will be interrupted or terminated, and then we are getting the records of only in one line. But if we enable this again, if we disable this again, you will notice we will disable this and rerun our application. There is no issue while restarting the server. Now we will fire the same record. You can see that the issue reappear. That circular reference is again back. So adding this JSON ignore will help us to break that cycle. This is one of the way to fix this issue, and the better way we will cover in our next video. Now quickly run it again. Okay, issue is solved. Okay, so now this is how you can achieve bidirectional, and this is one of the issue you can face in bidirectional. So you need to be a little cautious when doing the bidirectional relationship. Only do it when it is actually necessary. Otherwise, you can easily use native queries to usually solve that problem. That's all for now. Thank you.